team can do exactly that because we are loading up for picks and bans between G2 Esports and Fnatic, and surprise, surprise, Katarina is once again on the bench.
And Ulti, Ashe, Varus, Malzahar, Zyra, they all do it. And look at G2's composition down, or the composition in the first phase with Shen, Ashe, and Zyra. That's a go bottom in the bottom lane.
Yes, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Caps is going to give himself a slightly comfier laning phase with Orianna and Syndra removed from the table. So where do Perkz and Trick set their sights? The two, you know, sort of duo, the dynamic duo, it's called out from the middle to top lane. And
right.
That's what we're looking for, some counter picks and some options.
Yeah, the reason we see Orianna Syndra here is they're two of the picks who can deal with Ryze in the mid lane specifically. And this is what happens in this new pick and ban phase. When you get a strong pick for yourself for a mid lane and the enemy does not pick any sort of counters yet, you just go for two soft counters, specifically two good matchups that the enemy could have picked, and you just ban them away. Just try and clinch that mid lane and give your mid laner the best possible setup. G2 Esports needs some AP though from that mid side because there's quite a lot of physical damage. Actually, could they do... Because I've seen both Corki and Jace being used quite a bit. Jace with Hexdrinker, definitely something that could be favored by G2.
Well, G2 are going to give up the Maokai, of course, because that was not banned. There's very little top lane bans through this pick and ban phase. Still some options, and of course the Maokai to Shen. So where does G2 go?
I think also Cassiopeia should be considered here by G2 Esports against Ryze. It's something in LCK the Korean mid laners like a lot against him, and she obviously is still available, but Taliyah instead, another pick that has come back into the meta.
Yeah, but you look at this composition. 3 globals, Ashe Arrow. I mean, this is go button. Never let Fnatic get to the late game. If Fnatic can scale with Ryze and Maokai and whoever they're going to lock in this ADC, I'm scared for G2. but G2 have so many tools to prevent it happening.
I'm scared for Fnatic. I think G2's composition looks really, really strong at the moment, just because they have so many ways to move around the map, and especially focus the bottom side. I think G2 specifically have just said, you know what, we're not gonna try and just play a strong skill match 1v1 and see if we can beat like Caps. No, let's just play around. Let's just go to the other lanes, because you have your strongest lane from G2 Esports in the bottom lane with Sven and Mithy. And why not just try and set them up for success?
Why fight Baby Faker one-on-one? Bring a party, bring your friends. Ash Arrow, Shen, Rek'Sai.
It's 5-man in the bot lane.
It's 5-man in
against
every
Nami.
lane.
Nami's just like, I'm so useless here. I have no mobility, and they can just dive me.
It feels like G2 Esports are hungry for some sushi. And they'll be setting their sights on Jez as one of the newest supports to the LCS stage, role swapping, hell, from a coach, from a mid lane, from an ADC. This guy's now in another role.
Anything. He's almost been everything. Now he's down support. We saw the Ezreal pick, just last pick here from Reckless, because he needed something where he could stay safe.
Well, we'll find out if he can. Ladies and gentlemen, the players are ready. Champions are locked in. It's time for the European LCS Match of the Week.
It felt pretty natural, like coming back to Fnatic.
I'm really looking forward to face SOAS and Amazing, since they've been my teammates before.
But I think us versus Fnatic is gonna be like a hype match.
We always want to contend for the top spot, not be satisfied with anything less.
I see Fnatic luring, and they're in the shadows waiting to grab their shot at the first place too.
Fnatic are in the shadow of the Kings of Europe. It's G2 Esports taking on the former Kings. How good is Fnatic? How good are the new players, the old players?
It's early, Trevor. It's very early on in the season with 4 roster changes for Fnatic. Still some fans supporting. Are they trying to spell a quick shot? It's a very long word.
No, definitely in favor of Fnatic right now.
There we got it.
If you couldn't hear it before, you certainly can now.
On screen at the moment, you see Perks down the bottom lane. You might wonder why on earth is he here? It's simply because when you play Zyra, you really want to be able to get into this lane and start planting these seeds here around the middle of the bottom lane, so they can also be used to start getting some aggro on minions. Fnatic, though, are able to push back G2 and actually hit them here. But yeah, Perks was just down here, add some backup, and if potentially a fight was going to break out, he was nearby to see if you can force a summoner. So very, very standard play, and nothing really happens there.
No, nothing just yet. G2 gonna set themselves up. Cleanse for Perks in that middle lane against all of the CC available to Fnatic. A little bit of a helping hand here from SOAS with Amazing. And we'll see if G2 can get any of these lanes pushing, open up some options for Trick to get in Fnatic's face.
It will be hard to get that bot lane pushing very early now, because Mithy lost all his plans. Obviously, Zyra, Ashe, good early push, but Ezreal Nami was actually a lane we saw quite a bit around Worlds, where the level 1 to 3 is super, super strong. You can jump level 2 as Ezreal very aggressively gets the slow from Nami as well. He's not 2 yet, but these are the kind of trades you see very early from Ezreal and Nami. After level 3, however, Zyra Ashe starts taking over.
And Reckless hit absolutely everything, pushing Mithy and Sven backwards. Level 2, the race is on, and Fnatic will win this one.
They will get it.
Got themselves that first and second melee minion.
And this is expected again. This is why it was so important. Fnatic got to kill these small seeds around to stop Mithy from getting that early push with the Zyra. So now, Reckless Jesses, they have some breathing room here. They can zone a little bit. But it's only here in the start they have this advantage. Then it's going to shift, and G2 is going to send more members.
And of course, we'll have to keep an eye on Sven and Mithy to take advantage of that power shift. Trick gonna show his face. Got the ability to burrow, flashes up as well. Caps, Ghost and Flash available to him. May have just been positioning for a potential counter gank if Amazing decided to engage, and returns back to his Raptors.
And I'm so happy, Trevor, that Taliyah is back in the meta. We just saw a peek of Perks. Now we actually see him on screen here, farming in the mid lane. Because she's such a fun champ to watch. Like, her pick potential is great. Her sustained DPS, if she can keep landing the rocks, is great. And her ulti is just so cool. Especially in the standard lane meta, where so much is focused around like diving these side lanes, especially the bottom lane. Once she hits level 6, she can keep the wave fairly even in mid and then look for roams.
That's exactly what G2 want to do. Their whole composition is about basically gate crashing a party, sending everybody they want uninvited into Fnatic lanes.
And they're kicking your door.
And they absolutely are.
That is broken.
And now, by the way, I think it's important to reiterate that G2, the same 5 members, the same baseline of communication from last year, they're drawing from so much higher, basic level of understanding of their team members. Now we see how rusty they are, right? This is what we're judging now. How good is their communication? How well do they coordinate to shut down the new stars of Fnatic?
I think just all the pressure is on G2. In this game here, they won both splits last year. As you said, they kept all the members together and Fnatic made 4 roster changes, so you're expecting there to be some growing pains for Fnatic. Maybe they're just clicking instantly and it's all perfect, but you're expecting some sort of issues, some miscommunication here and there. And that's why the pressure is on G2 to perform here. If G2 loses, it's just great from Fnatic's side.
Pressure onto Caps, mostly to relieve pressure onto Perkz. Perkz running low on mana, using that threaded volley over and over, and Amazing just steps into vision. So that's going to be information to G2. Even Stevens across the board. The power shift is going towards G2 now in that bottom lane. Sven and Mithy, you can see pushing out as expected.
And Perkz is just calling for Trick to help him push out mid because he has enough gold to get the Lost Chapter, which is still one of the most broken small items in the game. So obviously, oh, Amazing!
Look at that! Damage from Amazing, respect flash from Perkz.
3D honesty from Perkz to stay in the first place, get hit by that first skill shot from Amazing, and then having to blow a flash, honestly, for nothing. Like, nothing was really happening in mid other than him trying to push it out. And that's actually where we can praise this play here from Amazing, because the reason he stayed was to try and deny Perkz the push, so Caps could get a little freeze in the mid lane. If you look at your minimap, and if we actually pan the camera after this trade.
Oh, not going to happen though. Reckless is going to be able to arcane shift to safety. Good roots from Mithy. Reckless, low on mana, low on HP, but he's got himself that health potion. And we can take a look once again. That freeze from Caps was in the mid lane.
This is what I wanted to talk about. So the reason Amazing stayed, and it looked like it was like super uneventful, was because Caps had a freeze set up already. Perkz didn't get to push the wave all the way out, so he could go back and get Lost Chapter. And this has now meant that Caps has been sitting there just chilling. The wave is still pushed for him, but now gets ganked.
And Burrow onto Caps, a seismic shot, first blood to G2.
Damn.
Flawless.
He got wrecked.
Flawless.
Like, so wrecked. Oh man, he just thought he was in such a great position. He's been freezing for like over a minute almost. And then Trick just says, nah, we're done with this. Sneaks in behind, gets the kill and the flash from Caps here. Great play from G2, and now the roaming is starting because Perkz is 6.
Well, there's your two-time 2016 MVP. The lane swap is caught out. Expect lockdown, locked by the Aqua Prison. Exhaust won't hold him in place. And Expect is able to shadow dash to safety. Fnatic, they're setting their sights on the tower, but there's a response from G2.
Yeah, I like this play from Fnatic. They know when Perkz is 6, he can start going towards the bottom lane. Shen is 6 as well with the ulti, so they leave the bottom lane. They lane swap before G2 reacts. You can see the bot lane from G2. They were heading down to the bottom side. Realized too late. Oh, they're top. We have to now change. Sven is now finally at the tower, but it allowed Fnatic to get some damage.
Weaver's wall is available for Perkz. He was sniffing around the river, but decides against going in. Now I'm already somewhat impressed here. Good opening play by Trick. That was expected, you know, for a jungler of his caliber. And Fnatic showing that they can make some team-based decisions, some macro plays to apply pressure to G2. An early ghost from Caps. And he's once again the target of a repeat gank by Trick.
Good ghost though. Meant that Perkz couldn't get in range to actually knock him back, and Perkz just decided to step away. But some cool plays here, and I think with Fnatic, honestly, what we should expect for them as a team, even this early on, is that they're like a smart team, because they have so many veterans here. They're very vocal members. Amazing has always been an early game shot caller. Soas has always been super vocal late on in the game on where to position on the map as a team. Jessis was brought in because he has game knowledge as a coach, and he could kind of use that in-game. So this kind of swap they just made before here to avoid that dive from Perkz was just really smart forward thinking. And it did reward them again, a little bit of damage on top tower. And also they stayed alive. Amazing, lurking near mid.
Gonna get some support here. Stand United's available for Expect, so Fnatic need to be extra careful. And you know, seeing that play, seeing the communication, That's something that Fnatic have talked a lot about in terms of how they built the core of their team, you know? Bringing in Jesus into that role. Jesus and Reckless up in the top lane. They're going up against still one of the best duo lanes in Sven and Mithy. And I'll take a second. Oh, the best.
Oh, in the West, yeah.
I mean, Mithy, the highest number of assists for all European LCS players in 2016. Him and Sven just double-teamed and really took over the European LCS. 680 assists over the course of the season.
Good old Mithy has still not missed a final in Europe whenever he's played in the LCS. Also attended Worlds every single time he's actually played in the LCS. So this guy has consistently been on one of the best teams in Europe. And I have a feeling that he's one of the reasons these teams tend to be one of the best.
Yeah, definitely a proven track record. Gonna hold G2 to an even game as we approach 10 minutes. The lane swap and the tower damage has actually been evened out in the top lane now. Both towers dropping to around 50%. No surprises as far as itemization is really concerned. And Fnatic, despite giving up that single kill, they're farming well and they're setting themselves up for some mid-game plays. But this is where G2 can switch it on. They've got ultimates across the board.
Yeah.
They just have to pick a direction and throw everything at it.
They're basically now waiting to finally get back to that 2v2 lane with Sven and Mithy, who's now level 6. So again, we talked about that bot lane meta. Hit level 6 and then just fire your ultis, and then you try and take down some of these members here.
Some of these you mean Jesus?
By that I mean Jesus, obviously. First your arrow, he flashes, then you get arrow back from cooldown, and you arrow again, and then you kill him. That's effectively how it works against supports with no mobility. So you can see Fnatic's bottom lane. They don't want to stay in the lane because they know how risky it is. They leave once again. They're trying to constantly roam around, and Perks are trading.
A lot of damage from that overload, but Caps actually took a big chunk of him on his character as well before he backs away. Now, G2 have got a lot of support down the river. Stand United's up for Expect. Will it get channeled? Here comes Amazing. Stand United not gonna finish. Amazing's got the kill. Round Warp will deliver Caps to Amazing's hands. And Trick is forced to burrow to safety. Fnatic are on the board.
Second time where it's the Fnatic roaming first. The bot lane roamed down. Arrow coming in from Sven.
Feels like it's a delay. Where's the damage to back up? Strangle Thorns is available as well. Expect finishes the TP. Jesus is locked down. Strangle Thorns throws him into the air, and Jesus is killed as expected. Now there's a retreat. Soaz turns his attention to Sven. The tower first blood picked up by G2. Soaz looking for a kill onto Sven. A lot of HP to burn through, and flash for flash they chase. Soaz suns him down. Gonna keep chasing. It's not a lot of damage. Arcane Smash, jump to the mid lane. Amazing, gets bitten down by a furious fight. Sven is still alive. The flash, the heal, the survive. Soaz can't kill him.
Oh, it looked really good for Fnatic at first when they set up that dive here. They managed to kill Perks before Shen even arrived. Sadly though, Fnatic, when they actually stayed to take down the tower, arrow came in from Sven, TP from Expect, ulti from Trick, and suddenly multiple members with the globals collapsed on Fnatic. Managed to get 2 kills in return and the top lane tower. So big swing here for G2.
2,500 gold to support the 2-kill advantage. It's Trick, that's 2, 0, and 1. Got himself some tanky stats already, and G2 demonstrating mastery of the composition. It was very clear who was going in, it was very clear what the targets were, and that felt very crisp. The response to Fnatic's pressure in the mid lane, and Fnatic got punished for it.
I just like what we see from both sides. Like, I like these roams here from Reckless and Justice to avoid 2v2. This is just a great setup. Perks didn't use flash early. That meant he actually got chunked down really, really low, and Amazing could finish him. And now the cross-map arrow coming in from top side. Then TP gets channeled. Mithy is here. Rek'Sai is coming in with ulti, and Justice is now caught very, very close to the enemy tower. Nothing he can do really to stay alive at this point, and Fnatic can't kill Trick. They have to just back away, and obviously now we saw Sven take that top tower.
So questions now, how do Fnatic...
Amazing getting caught there was not good. That was actually just a misplay from Amazing.
Gets punished for it, first death of the game. Finished the thought from a moment ago. Fnatic have got a small reprieve, like so many summoners blown. The globals are just coming back off cooldown, so G2 can look to do that again.
Yeah.
There's only very small windows of opportunity for Fnatic.
You mentioned all the summoners gone here. The most important summoner for Fnatic is to teleport on Soaz, and that's also down at the moment. So Fnatic actually does not have a way to react if G2 is pulling off a global play.
So defensive play for Fnatic is what we're expecting.
Honestly, they almost have to at this point. But the problem is, when you play defensive against multiple globals where you don't have one yourself, is most of the time you can't defend because it's 2 or 3 guys coming or just an engage on Caps.
2-on-1, Strangle Thorns, Caps flashes away, he survives, manages to stay alive. Reckless used the True Shot Barrage for a little bit of support. Up in the top lane, Expector's in trouble, so Caps escapes with his life, and Fnatic get their first tower of the game.
Yeah, this is a good response from Fnatic. Again, both teams with some nice moves here. When you're against a global user and you don't have a global yourself at the moment, attack the global. So what Amazing is doing is he's going to that top side. He's saying, I can't go bot lane because if I do, you TP in and we are outnumbered. So he goes top instead. He plays against Expect together with Source. It's enough to take down the tower. Trick was actually nowhere to be seen on the map. Could have tried to go up and defend, but just reacted too late, and Fnatic takes the tower.
So good heads-up play by Fnatic, despite being under a lot of pressure, despite the potential tools that G2 have available to them. I think it's important to note and to remind people that Fnatic's team composition is going to be inherently weaker at this stage of the game. They need time, they need items, and very importantly, they need to not give up anything more. You know, if they can stay close to G2, their team composition will eventually scale, but that's the challenge now for a new team.
Oh yes, when you play things like Maokai against Shen, the Maokai late game in a team fight is like twice as good as the Shen. Not even more. Shen has his flash taunt and that's about it he really offers, and then he can block autos from the animated carry. But the animated carry is in Israel, so he often gets to jump around the Shen, he can fire mystic shots. It's really hard then to deny Reckless and his damage. And again, so Maokai will just be way better in that situation. But just before here, G2 knew they could set up a play in bot, and they did. I just wanted to see Trick and Perks then hover towards top side. They knew that was where Fnatic could attack them. They didn't. They were both sitting mid lane to defend against Reckless Jesses. That's why they lost the tower in return. And Fnatic are trying to get whatever gold they can, but they're losing a Dragon now.
Yeah, Dragon uncontested here. Complete vision control by G2. The fact there's no tower in that bottom lane just allows G2 to easily secure the first Cloud Drake and then reposition towards middle. Abyssal Voyage, sorry, the Farm Alarm is the only ultimate not available here for G2. So Trick needs to come closer, and that's what he's doing, joining the mid lane. I'm looking for a Sven Arrow if G2 want to push towards that tower.
Yeah, and we can see both teams are playing all 3 lanes at the same time, like 1-3-1 on their sides here. Rise, the strong duelist, fantastic in 1v1s, but he's not able to leave the lane fast enough because his ulti is not long enough to go from like top side to mid lane just instantly. And that's where Talia can just match the push from either Maokai or the Rise and then use her ulti to leave. So G2 can keep making plays in mid lane, and they look for one now. Caps is here.
Oh, Trick gets jumped on. 3 members of Fnatic. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They did not budge.
They were setting up a play.
Oh, that was beautiful.
They were setting up a play in mid, and then they see Trick, and they're like, all right, let's just not move. He's not going to see us. And they were just standing there being like, he's not going to see anything. And he walks straight into them.
The thing is, that is coordinated, communicated play. Fnatic were fully aware what they were doing, and they didn't reveal their positions. Hook, line, and sinker. Fnatic get their second kill. They're still 3,000 gold down. Taking a look at the items, everybody's still scaling here. Sven working towards that Essence Reaver. Look at your minimap. No pings, no movement.
No, he's actually going into plays of ward as well. He
Trick
checks
has
the push.
no idea.
He just checks the push, plays the ward. So, funny enough, both teams... Oh, Cap's getting caught.
Yeah, no flash available. This should be an easy kill. Gets shut down. A little bit of support from Trick, Mithy, and Expect. And that's just a punish.
That play before was so cool. Both teams were setting up for potential plays in mid, like Trick could tunnel over the wall behind Fnatic, Caps could ulti in behind G2, and also they saw Trick fairly early, and so they knew he was coming, we're just waiting. That's the ulti from Perks, the roam we talked about before, and they're trying to get the tower.
Well, 2 people that are locked off in front of the wall could hop over if needed, but it will not be needed. Jesus, no tidal wave available to him. He used that for the kill earlier, and that allows G2 their 3rd tower of the game. All outers secured, extending that gold lead even further, and now the challenge of pushing that ward line, and actually, challenge for Fnatic to stay safe with so much open map space.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to stay safe. Like, when you're playing against this many globals, as we talked about earlier, if you're just trying to be defensive, eventually they're gonna make a play on you where they will outnumber you somewhere and you can't react. So oftentimes, you just have to play aggressive yourself Fnatic has tried. They got the kill on Trick. They got the top tower. They're trying to say, we need to keep forcing plays on the globals. Otherwise, you guys are just going to collapse. Too many members in the side lanes. Sadly for them before, after they caught Trick, Caps got caught in his own jungle. Did not expect G2 to be there, and that cost the mid tower.
Yeah, those wards that are still inside Fnatic jungle, that's actually what allowed G2 to pick up that kill onto Caps.
Yeah, we were sadly in the replay when the setup was being prepared by G2, but obviously there wasn't any Fnatic wards, so they just
walked right in.
They snuck in there, placed their own ward, and then they saw Caps was moving down and killed him.
So, Rift Herald was secured just before it was about to time out, so another advantage in favor of G2. The next Cloud Drake will be spawning in around 2 or so minutes time, 2 and a bit. And it's up to G2 where they decide to push, because they have an item advantage, a gold advantage. Like
global advantage.
Every metric you could measure, G2 eSports is in control. They played very aggressively to punish Fnatic's moves, and I want to see how they push that further.
I want to see Fnatic try and make a play around Caps, because Caps can't leave his lane, so when you play 1-3-1 where one side doesn't have a global, you need to play around that side, because he's often your strong lane in terms of dueling. And because he can't leave his lane, in order for him to be useful as a split pusher, you need to move the fight to him. So what you should see is Amazing will try and hover around Caps when Caps is trying to push out a side lane, and hope that Perks or Expect is there, and they can jump and try and kill this guy very, very quickly. The problem is Shen ulti can react if Perks is getting caught. Trick can oftentimes ulti towards the side as well. Sven can maybe arrow. So it's really not easy for Amazing and Caps to play this strong 1-3-1 side lane. And oftentimes they just feel like they can only push out a lane and then they have to leave.
It's really tough, and Fnatic have shown they can play the laning phase relatively well. You know, good decision-making, good prioritization of where to put their champions. We're now into the mid-game with towers down and being behind. So Fnatic's true abilities will be tested. Not only do they have to overcome all of those things, it's also difficult to see how and where they kill somebody. Interesting to note, Mithy's actually dealt the most damage in the game so far.
Mate, he's a support. What do you expect? That's how supports work now.
2017.
Malzahar, Zyra, they build a ton of AP because they're supports. Welcome to
welcome to the new
2016
age.
and now 2017, where that is the kind of stuff we see. But it's interesting with Fnatic, because in-game, we can't criticize too much, but I think in the draft, they got caught with their pants down when they ended up having to play Ezreal Nami against Ashe Zyra, because they had to dodge these lanes so often after level 3, and then also because they had to respect the amount of globals and the setup from Ashe Zyra. So really, really difficult for Fnatic to kind of play out this early game and actually get a gold lead.
And then, of course, means that Fnatic are again still playing from behind. Looking at the vision on the minimap, by the way, that is a lot of control wards around that Baron pit. G2 not going to allow a sneaky Baron to happen. Second Dragon picked up very easily and very safely as Fnatic. They have to play safe, right? The risk of being engaged on, the risk of being jumped on. And this is exactly what G2's composition was built to do.
It's always the same thing when you have like mirror matches. Like both teams want to play 3 lanes, and then when one team gets an advantage, being it from globals or being it from gold advantage, item advantage, their enemy 1-3-1 team often feel like they have very few plays they can make, because they can't really push out lanes. And then how do you split push if you can't push out your lanes?
Yeah.
You can't. You have to then try and team fight your way out. But that's not exactly where your comp at the moment is shining. They want to get Ezreal up to the 24th, then Blade of the Rune King 3rd item. They want to complete the full tier from Caps, and then maybe we can start looking at some Fnatic fights.
Yeah, but they might not get the time. G2, they've got this Ring of Vision. They've already got 2 items on, well, their primary carries. Rylai's is getting closer to being completed here for Mithy as well. So big items completed, and any time this Baron could get started, forcing a fight.
And let's talk about the build here from Perks, getting Leandris coming in here, 2nd item. Obviously very easy for Talia to land some fairly long-range poke, just a few hits here and there to get a bit of extra burn damage. But the more important thing, I feel at least, is the flat magic penetration. Because ever since the Locket nerf, a lot of members don't get that MR aura now. They don't get any MR in the early game, unless they have specific runes that give any sort of defense. An AD carry is not itemizing any sort of magic resistance, and that means flat magic pen has even more value.
Good route into arrow, amazing flashes and dashes to safety. Safeguard buys time, but no flash available, and very importantly, no tidal wave. We've crested 23.5 minutes. G2 pushing that vision deeper and deeper. Keep looking at your minimap. The more information G2 have to work with, the more likely we're going to see them force a Baron play. Ash Arrow's about 30% off cooldown already. And look at this, Fnatic, they have so much darkness to fight through.
It's time to face check everything. Send in whoever cares the least about his KDA.
Oh, Realm Warp is being channeled and it gets cancelled.
Oh, Mithy!
Not gonna work out. Strangle Thorns catches and prevents 3. Perks gets 1. Running away for Fnatic. It's a double kill. The Weaver's Wall tries to block off any further follow-up. And down in the picture-in-picture, Expect is pushing Soaz away.
G2, they had the vision set up. They could sneak behind Fnatic. The only blue trinket available was on Soaz, but he's in the bottom lane, so it's completely useless. Fnatic had to just try and go in and see if G2 were doing the Baron. It's a great bait, great setup. And this was one of the things we criticized about G2 last year. Their Baron setups were often very, very risky. They took 50-50 smites. This was a perfect setup. And we got to see how powerful vision control is.
Exceptional setup, exceptional execution. And that means G2, the defending European LCS champions, have got a sizable 7,000 gold lead. Let's be honest, it is what was expected, but the manner in which it's worked out, look how beautiful this is.
Yeah, this is Mithy just sneaking around. He has a control ward up on the top side, so he knew he wasn't spotted when entering a potential flank position, and he finds the kill. And we just have to say, Trevor, like, G2 eSports, they are the kings in Europe.
Yep.
But internationally, they're a bunch of peasants. Because they're honestly not able to really do anything yet, and that's what they want to change in 2017. And if they manage to win EU LCS again, then we gotta hope for the sake of Europe, they can actually change that.
Well, it starts with further domestic success.
That's a good start.
It is a long season. There are 13 best of 3s to play. They've started off against Fnatic in really quite phenomenal fashion. A good pick and ban phase, an aggressive team composition, and just really good execution in game. Soaz sniffing at an opportunity, but won't find anyone as Sven and Mithy back away, and it's actually Soaz that's in trouble. Grasping Roots comes down, Perks not going to use the seismic shove just yet. Holds on to that cooldown, and Soaz is able to escape with a flash.
Yeah, so they push up the top lane from Expect here with the Baron buffed minions. Have fun playing against a global 1-3-1 comp with Baron. Like, every single lane, your tower is just taking a ton of damage from minions, and you can't stop every lane, because if you sit there, you just get suddenly engaged on by multiple members. It is almost impossible for Fnatic at the moment. And I made that Leandri's point just to quickly go back to it. I went back in and checked Fnatic's MR. 30 MR on Reckless, 30 MR on Jesses, 34 on Caps. Like, none of them have anything, because again, there is no aura from the Locket. So this flat magic pen build from Soaz here, or sorry, from Perks with the Leandris, extra valuable, and also get some percent burn against the tanks. Why not?
Yeah, very, very useful. Expect takes a little bit of damage there from Caps' overloads. Caps 1-2-1. He hasn't had a chance to shine, because G2 have done such a good job of shutting all of Fnatic down, responding to those plays, and G2 take even more towers. That's the 4th sieging 3 lanes at once.
Yep.
There's simply not enough power in Fnatic's team composition to shut this down.
G2 doesn't care if there's great individual members on Fnatic, because G2 is beating Fnatic as a team. And it all started in the pick and ban phase with these globals, setting up that bot lane with Zyra first pick into Ashe as the second rotation. Aaron to Soaz.
A lot of damage. Look at the shove. Brings him backwards, and Soaz can't go anywhere. Shut down in 3-on-1. This opens up the inhibitor turrets as Expect continues to push the top lane. Baron running out very soon. Probably 20 or so seconds left on that one. Tower number 6 is going to fall. And Fnatic, they have run out of options. G2 have to make a monumental error to give this game up. And with the discipline they've showed, that looks to be next to impossible. Got to start thinking next game. Got to start thinking, how can Fnatic help themselves in the draft? Because that's where it started to go wrong.
I think one of the first things Fnatic are going to look at is the fact they had Ryze, Ezreal, and Maokai. 3 picks that definitely want to scale, who couldn't really stop the roams from G2. And didn't have a lane where they were specifically destroying G2 eSports, because Genesis now is trying to engage, or yeah.
He's trying to dissuade G2. Right? You know, that's the idea. They didn't get the inhibitor. I call worth.
As I said before, Genesis interrupted me right there. Now I forgot what I wanted to say. God damn it, Genesis!
Right. Jesus and
whatever
Fnatic.
My point was, it was great.
It always is. It always is.
It rarely is, but...
No, Fisher, you only drop golden nuggets of wisdom.
Quick, listen. The trick is, if you say so much, crammed into like one sentence, I think it's crammed into one sentence, just to change myself there, then people don't realize how much of it is actually wrong, and they just hear the one nugget at the end.
You're revealing your strategy.
That is one of the caster
revealing
secrets.
your strategy in 2017. The spring split. We've got a little bit of time. This is, of course, the number 1 and number 2 seeds from Group A. Fnatic was sent over here by H2K. And we started ourselves on a pretty hype matchup. Fnatic have shown some glimmers of hope, some glimmers of life. Pretty good decision-making.
Oh yeah, now I remember my point.
But unfortunately, they've just been outdone here in this first game of this best of 3.
Yes, and one of the problems with Fnatic was like one of the lanes where they could get an advantage, which was mid lane with the Rise. Perkz actually has now shown that 1 or 2 aggressive moves has happened from him, but otherwise he's actually played very safe. So he just sat back in that lane for as long as possible and just tried to like farm, and he waited for Trick to show up. And when Trick was there, he went aggressive. And I think that is a good change from him, because in the side lanes as well, Perkz is not being caught out by like Caps and Amazing together. He's played it very, very safe. And that was like the one lane where Fnatic could maybe get an advantage, because they were not going to win bot, not going to win top either, too hard.
Expect gonna look to run away with his life. Got flash available, gets over the wall. Reckless continues to chase. A lot of ultimates use. Here comes Amazing as well. Ash Arrow gonna split Fnatic, and Expect makes it out alive.
It's almost unfair when you can dash the wall, then you can flash, and then there's a blast cone as well you can take to jump another wall. 3 walls here. And Expect he doesn't care, and it means, sadly for Fnatic, this top end tower actually
it's gonna survive.
Gonna
survive. Perkz decided not to send one of those autos his way, but it will fall in this next wave. Baron has obviously timed out. Stand United and Teleport are available. And Expect he's back in the lane. Continues pushing that wave out. And tower finally falls. And Fnatic, as you mentioned, Deficio, kind of pulled apart at the seams. And we talked about picks and bans.
Exactly.
I'm still optimistic. I'm still hopeful. It's the first game of the season. And we shouldn't jump to any conclusions. Both teams looked good in the early game. Both teams had good decision-making. But G2 was simply better this game, this time around.
Better, and I think their composition was really good against Fnatic's comp. The slow scaling on Fnatic. Lack of, like, also if we add in more like some safe wave clear to push out lanes. It's very hard then to deal with the global. So really smart pick and ban phase from Youngbok and G2. Definitely a lot of credit. And I feel like if you are a Fnatic fan and you judge Fnatic week 1, day 1 against the European champions, it's kind of unfair with all these roster changes. They're trying some engage. They're sending in Soas.
There's no one. There's no one to catch.
All right.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow is available.
They all ran away.
Sven's going to back away. So at the cost of a Realm Warp, Fnatic may be losing their top inhibitor. Expect is pushing out the bottom lane. 3 members of G2 are up in the top, but they're split. Perkz needs to use that Weaver's Wall. He started the channel, decided not to serve. Trick is caught out by the Rune Prison. The arrow gets sent to Ryan. Oh, that's a kill onto Mithy. He got caught. I didn't see what locked him down. But Expect is pushing onto the inhibitor. Enough time to secure the kill. Yes, will be done. And then they can back away. So, you know, losing Mithy for inhibitor, fair trade.
It's a classic support move here. Get caught to buy time for your split pusher, take the inhib. Mithy, all planned. And Expect walks away, being this annoying Shen in the bottom lane that just can't die because he can jump the walls, he has blast cones. Fnatic might try and see if they can get some crazy fight around the Baron, but again, they're kind of just trying to delay the game.
How do you get a crazy fight into a Zyra and an Ashe and a Shen?
G2 messes
so
up.
Tough.
Again, G2 messes up and they rush the Baron when they don't have to, and then Fnatic gets the opening. They have 3 items on Ryze now, 3 items complete on Ezreal. He's very strong at this point here. Sadly, for Fnatic, they probably won't get that easy peasy fight. So, Mithy here.
So easy.
Source is hiding in the bush. Mithy getting caught out.
Tidal wave not even needed. Baron has been started. Very good vision setup here from G2. They're going to see Fnatic coming. Stranglethorns is available for Mippy, as is the Stand United. Amazing is going to be jumping in, getting locked down by the Shadow Dash taunts. This should be a kill, easily secured. Redemption being channeled for some additional support. Expect gets caught by the bubble. Dashes to safety. So as Reckless Jez looking for more. The wall prevents their escape. Tidal Wave buys some time as Trick is in the front line. Caps looking for a kill. Exhaust won't stop him now. Dash forward from Soaz. Sven is the target. Caps has got mana for days. The taunt buys time. Caps with a double kill. Fnatic will not give up. They stop the Baron. They win the fight. And they're looking for more.
I feel like we just talked about G2 rushing a Baron when they didn't have to. They had not killed a single member from Fnatic. They hadn't pushed them out of their own jungle. They started the Baron and thought they could just one-shot Amazing. Turns out they didn't have enough damage going over the wall, and Caps is now getting caught.
Seismic shove, knocked backwards, so much damage. Caps just out of position. And in all caps, G2 yell worth.
Well, yeah, they got the kill, so it's pretty obvious.
Assert your dominance, G2 eSports.
All right, Fnatic though, bought some more time. Let's see it again. So G2 is starting here. They have actually not really pushed Fnatic out of their own jungle, and they're not in a position to really stop and collapse on Amazing at first. Now they're jumping, but it's only the Shen and the Rek'Sai hitting the Lee Sin. And while Reckless is trying his hardest here to make the AD carry viable, it is enough to actually force Expect away. And now captures up from the mid lane, sneaking his way in. And legit right now, G2 has not been able to set up Sven to deal damage or Perks to deal damage in this fight. And that just bought enough time for Fnatic to regroup.
It's a small win for Fnatic because as this fight continues on, Caps eventually gets shut down. They're still 10 or 11,000 gold down. And Officio, they have to do it again. Baron's already below half health. G2 are much better set up this time around. Ash Arrow goes wide. Sonic Wave will time out shortly. Stand United being channeled onto Mithy, and Soaz is the target. Meowkai is purring away, but he gets taken down. 5 members of G2, they finally kill him.
He actually dealt a lot of damage. This could be very important if G2 wants to try another attempt at the Baron, because right now Ryze is in the base, defending. There's even a ZZ Rod being placed by Expect. Remember now, ZZ Rod is no longer used for just pure split pushing when it comes to minions, but actually used for pure tower damage, because the Voidlings will not stay alive for as long. They're squishy and so on, but they deal a lot of damage to tower, so you gotta place it a bit further in and just use it to take down the structure.
Round 3. G2 are gonna restart. It feels like this time
this is the good
Fnatic have no answer. They are too far away. They have no front line, and G2 will secure the second Baron of the game. They never lost control.
No.
But they were shaking a little bit as they were
a tiny bit.
A
tiny bit. The last one there was safe. Amazing tagged the Baron. They walked away, took the kill on Source. Took some time to kill Source, but they did get him down. And now they get the safe one where Fnatic is not in a position to do anything. ZZ Rod is annoying when it comes to this last push as well. And they had to deal with it. Perks will get another dragon. G2 wish they would get something else that Cloud, Cloud, Ocean, Ocean. But you can't get it all.
No, not this time around. Dragon picked up, of course, by G2. Next one will be Elder, well after the 40-minute mark. And that's the first speed wobble that G2 have demonstrated. I think up until those Baron plays, very good game. You know, very good decision-making, very good mechanical, very good communication. It felt like G2 were in control of everything. The lead, maybe, let them get a bit ahead of themselves. And G2 will definitely learn something from those mistakes. And now we see them close out with this Baron and how long it'll take.
Yeah, I think honestly just the call in itself was okay. Being like, okay, if Amazing shows up, we kill him. Execution just lagged a little bit, and Sven and Perks never got to deal damage in that fight.
Yeah.
And that was why it backfired. Otherwise, they could have just, you know, taken the fight after baiting the Baron, and then they would have won the game, and we would have said, fantastic performance, smooth.
It still is.
It still is.
Yes.
Like, they have a massive goal lead. ZZ Rod Shen with Baron buff minions means you can never leave him alone, because then he takes all your towers.
Are you surprised by the item builds? We're getting close to 40 minutes. You've got a couple of Titanics in there. You know, Essence, Reaver, Ashe. Not necessarily the highest damage build, but definitely a lot of utility. More arrows, more cooldown.
I think it's great. Yeah, I don't think you need really anything else here for Ashe. We have seen Infinity Edge builds, but I think a cooldown reduction is great. you're playing a pick composition with globals, you want as many arrows as possible. Like, that matters more than a slight increase in DPS.
Yeah. And it's proven the case. Sven's arrow accuracy, relatively good this game. And inhibitors now under siege. Top one has been taken out. Bottom and middle are exposed. Trick and then be hammering away before he's forced to back out. And Fnatic gonna start this off. Realm Walk to deliver Soaz once more. G2 are split. Defensive flash from Sven to get out of range of that Aqua Prison, but it allows Trick. Flawless, easily secures another inhibitor.
Well, sadly the case when you're this far down, there is no win-win situations for you. You always have to sacrifice somewhere, Trevor. They tried to make a play in mid. Got 2 flashes for it, so once Caps his ulti again, Fnatic might have their last chance to just ulti behind Sven and try and take him down.
There are 2 GAs on the side of Fnatic that have to win multiple fights that maybe can help balance out the gold difference. But there can be no errors and they have to insta-gib somebody from G2 eSports.
Again, there is no flash on Sven. There's no flash on Perks. There is a Ryze ulti that can deliver a Maokai. You sacrifice an inhib for it. Sadly, the ulti is still on cooldown from Caps, and now the fight is happening.
Yeah, G2 started this one off. Tidal Wave used. Realm Walk not available, and Fnatic are running for their lives. Redemption comes down. Nobody's died just yet, but the super minions with Baron buff and cannon minions pushing into the base. Teleport coming down from Soaz. He's got no flash to close the gap. Stranglethorn's not available. It was used, but Miffy gets a root with those grasping. And now Trick can expect. They're backing away. No. 4 members of Fnatic looking. It's so desperate, but there's just nothing to cling on to for Fnatic.
As soon as that ulti was ready from Caps' side, G2 backs away. They have all 3 inhibs down. And it should just be a matter of time before G2 eSports can win the first game
in this
their BO3 and
yeah.
their season. This is obviously the first game in Group A as well. And we have to remember G2 eSports last split didn't lose a single series.
Nope. Split a few, but no losses to their name. Fnatic, on the other hand, they ended the summer split on a 10-game losing streak and had to go back to the drawing board. You know, the roster last year didn't work out. Question marks around players and
attitudes.
You know, it just didn't work, right? You know, at its core, it felt like something was not clicking. And that's why Fnatic have come back to the drawing board with 4 brand new players in 2017. I think overall, a decent start in game 1. But there's more things for Fnatic to fix going into game 2 than G2 need to fix, which puts them in a big disadvantage.
Yeah, 100%. But again, expected that Fnatic is struggling a bit here in the first game against the reigning European champions, as we have mentioned quite a few times already. Still going to be an interesting lineup to follow. I think Fnatic has a lot of potential to become a really good team in Europe. Amazing does not get caught.
No. It's difficult to lock down.
All right, come on. We want to see Ryze ulti deliver the Maokai behind Sven. Here's the ulti. Here's the Maokai.
Is separated. Stranglethorn's by side. Miffy becomes the target. Stand United will bring Expect into the mid lane, and Soaz locked off for a moment before he finds the open door. Trick gets tagged by the Arcane Shift and the Mystic Shot. Soaz re-engages. He's going to get the GA popped at the cost of Trick's life. This could buy some time. 1-for-1. Jungler for top lane. But a Nexus turret is down. There are so many super minions pouring into the base. Fnatic need to do something monumental to stop G2, and I don't think they can. There's an army coming with G2. The Winions are all G2 needs. Caps is in trouble. He's trying to bounce the Spell Flux, trying to bounce the AoE. The Nexus turret drops. G2 eSports turn their focus to the Nexus and take Fnatic down for their first win in 2017.
Very nice first game here from G2. I love the pick and ban phase. First picking the Zyra and then just packing globals. 80 carry at global, mid lane, top lane, jungle. All had ways they could leave their lane and go impact somewhere else. And we didn't even see G2 like set up 5-man dives, because it then became a game of Fnatic trying to constantly escape the standard lanes and always roam around. And G2 would then try and follow. And there was a big crucial moment in the mid lane with the arrow from Sven coming in, hitting Jessis, which ended up hurting Fnatic a lot.
Hurt Fnatic a lot. Maybe it allowed G2 to win. To take a closer look at just how they did it, let's head to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Quickshot and Official, for that entertaining game. And we wanted to start by taking a look at the early game, specifically Crepo, you did, because it was not a question of one team or the other messing up, but more a question of G2 pushing Fnatic into the defensive and making them come up with solutions. Is that correct?
Yeah, that, and I think Fnatic from the get-go was in a bad spot because of the draft. The reason we're gonna look at like these clips is because it's really cool how it's all kind of connected, and what Fnatic was trying to do to avoid bad situations. So we're starting off with Zed and Mithy were getting a bad base here, so they snuck back into the lane and they punish Reckless when he walks up. So that's a mistake from Fnatic because they played their early lane really well. But to solve that, they kind of, I would say randomly, but obviously not randomly. Yeah. They rotated top to add more pressure on Expect and kind of group with Soaz, also to match to the level 6 timing from Perks, again not to get picked off and roam down or teleport on the bot lane. They pushed in top again, rotated mid, and made a pick onto Perks. So it's just highlighting how you can funnel pressure from one lane into the other. And if we compare that to what we saw in the first game of the day, it's on a whole different level macro-wise. But then you see that G2 kind of, they see it, you're like, okay, that's nice. It's
a good one.
It's a good one, cheeky. But they played this really clean, calm and collected style over the whole span of the game that was so hard for Fnatic to fight out of, especially because they had these losing side lanes. Defisho talked a lot about it in the game. 1-3-1 with losing side lanes is incredibly hard to play. But I really like the way Fnatic solved these issues. Like, they had a really strong early level 1 contest. They lost the lane due to the sneak in from Zed and Mithy, so they rotated top, rotated mid. It all looked kind of good, but suddenly they were behind gold anyways.
Yeah, they certainly were. We saw a lot of aggression coming out from Trick, something that we expected from him. He did get punished for it a little bit, but that was also another very smart play coming out from Fnatic, and we just wanted to highlight this play once again because we thought it was a really interesting mechanic, and it was also very reactive from Fnatic, the way in which they initially approached. They saw, okay, Trick is trying to set up and invade. We see that he's coming because he's just been spotted on a ward, and they just stop, dead in their tracks. And because of his tremor sense, he has no idea that they're there until it's too late, and the entire Fnatic roster ends up getting the collapse down onto him. And that's just, it's so cheeky. Yeah, it is. It's so nice. It's just the way they instantly reacted that, you know, Amazing was sitting there saying his head like, whoa, stop.
Yeah.
And then we get
hammer time.
No hammer time this time, but it's those little gameplay elements, and a lot of it is what we don't even see, like what's going on when we start toggling the vision, how vision pressure is important. At the end of the game, G2 had killed 76 wards in total of the enemy team. Fnatic had killed like 50 in total, so there's a really big vision war going on because they don't really fight that often because it's all about implied pressure. Both these teams knows what's going to happen when they fight. Like, okay, if we meet here, like, X is going to beat Y, therefore we don't fight, so we back off, and it's all a pressure game. And funneling and heaving over that pressure into different lanes is what makes it so fascinating.
And definitely, and the vision and the pressure game and setting up the objective is something we saw by the Baron play by G2, or rather picking off Fnatic to get to that Baron later, and was very nice from them. A very nice line from Mithy to kind of set them up for success in the rest of the game.
Yeah, so just at the start of this, I want you guys to have a look at exactly how the vision is set up. You can see the entire top half of the map for G2 is entirely lit up, and this is exactly what Crepo was highlighting to. The slow back and forth, the pressure slowly working its way in, enabled G2 to get all this vision so that Mithy could come around from the flank and set off this entire play. He lands a multi-man grasping route, forcing Caps to flash very early on, and the rest of G2 are just in a prime position to clean up the fight because Perks is coming from one angle, Sven from the other, and it's just a clean executed fight, all from this very slow and gradual setup that G2 have been working towards throughout the game.
Yeah, and they had a little bit of hiccups there in the end game, but they were able to close it out quite cleanly in this one. And then the question is, you talked about the lane assignments might have been in the disadvantage for Fnatic right from the start, but also the fact that in general they picked a lot of scaling elements, and you wonder, is that the approach you have to take against a team like G2 who loves to go hard and fast straight from the start?
I mean, I think G2 can play all these styles, and I don't think necessarily they went that like hard and fast. It was pretty methodical, but I definitely agree with your point that it is too much scaling. Like double tier and Maokai is complex to play, and you get away with it against inferior teams, but it's one of those compositions that you have this dream team fight in your mind, right? That's how you, like, sometimes you judge plays. Like, you look into the future, okay, we get the Ryze ulti and the Maokai, we have the Peel, this comp works so well. But G2 will never allow you to use that comp. They will just always use minions to scout ahead to avoid the picks. They will pressure multiple lanes at once, and you find yourself kind of struggling. It's very reminiscent of what happened in Season 2 and 3 when all these teamfight teams built the dream comp, but they were never allowed to use it because they got split pushed on. It's like, why is this at top? Why is he bottom all of a sudden? Same thing happened here with G2 eSports.
And a thing or two was, of course, also because of the bans coming out of G2. You don't have that much room to play with and pick exactly what you want anymore because you have to adjust. Fnatic picked blue side, or did you?
I mean, they shouldn't lock Nami.
Yeah,
I think you should, if you have like some other picks there, like you shouldn't pick a Nami when you're planning on going for the Maokai top. I think there were solutions for Fnatic. This is probably a comp that worked in scrims against other teams. Because if there's a team that is not as refined or G2 or Splice, like this comp works for sure. You go late game and you win.
And we do criticize the comp, but one factor that actually made things a lot worse for Fnatic was actually Cap. So I was following him throughout the game, and he got caught 3 different times after Fnatic had actually gotten themselves an advantage. So he was just giving away a lot of what Fnatic had already built up for themselves.
Super sexy gank though from Trick in the middle.
Yeah, it was. It was super clean, like, but because we were looking back at the pings, and you could tell that he was aware, okay, Trick is mid, he wasn't expecting it, but following that, Caps did make a lot of mistakes where he was just getting caught out of position where he shouldn't, and this is where we're starting to see this rookie player coming into a very big and experienced organization like Fnatic where he's working.
Yeah, it was a pretty snowbally game though, but G2 like broke him in. Welcome to the LCS. How do you feel now? But we're going to see what they do in game 2. Fnatic might come back here, and remember, after this series, stick around for the post-game lobby where we'll be taking a closer look at how the new 10-ban system played out in the games today. But we'll be right back with Fnatic and seeing if they can bring it back in this best of 3, or will G2 take it in a clean sweep? We'll find out in just a bit.
And Barrow onto Caps, a seismic shot, first blood to G2.
Now Caps is here.
Oh, Trick gets jumped on. 3 members of Fnatic. That was fantastic. Not gonna work out. Strangled Thought catches and prevents 3. Perks gets 1. Running away for Fnatic. It's a double kill. The Winions are all G2 Caps is in trouble. He's trying to bounce the spell flux, trying to bounce the AoE. The Nexus turret drops. G2 eSports turn their focus to the Nexus and take Fnatic down.